It's showtime.
Oh, yeah.
And a very good evening, everybody, and a warm welcome to the Lyceum night coming to you from the Paul Christian Spiritualist Church down on the south coast of the UK. Hang on a minute. That's better. So, as you can see, tonight's guest is actually here. We've got the wonderful Fredrik Haglund, the CSNU.
Hi, everyone.
Hi.
And thank you for inviting me and welcome me back.
Yeah, no, it's brilliant. 2 seconds. For some reason, an email's just popped up. Let's get rid of that. Those of you who don't know, Fredrik's with us for 10 days.
Something like that, yeah. 10 days.
And starts on Monday taking a 5-day course here at the church, which is fully subscribed, which is absolutely wonderful. Including students coming from Europe, which is just like, wow. But yeah, brilliant.
Amazing. Unbelievable, amazing.
He's been very busy since the word go of arrival here. We've had a wonderful day out on a workshop today with the lovely David Powell, an excellent teacher.
Yeah, it was actually very, very good and knowledgeable, full of knowledge.
Yeah,
that you can bring into your own mediumship. So,
yeah.
And myself, I mean, even if I do a lot of mediumship, I still love to attend workshop and love to continue to develop myself.
Yeah, and that is actually a really good topic. Tonight, everybody, we haven't got a fixed topic. We're going to find things, obviously, we can talk about. But if there's anything appertaining to spiritualism you would like to ask, please bring it up. That would be wonderful. But furthering, when do we stop developing? When are we a medium?
We are a medium when we are born, and then we continue to develop to the day we go home.
Oh, I like that. Yeah.
Because we are born into this world from the spirit world, but as long as we're walking on this earth plane, we're walking with 1 foot in the spirit world and 1 foot on this earth plane here. So we are never ever detached from the spirit.
Yeah.
We are always the connection. We have always the connection to the spirit world, and therefore, when we want to work with the spirit world, it's just to welcome them into our presence.
Yeah, that's very true. Because we see it, don't we, in the developing mediums. There's always this aspiration to get to be a medium. And exactly like you just said, we are all mediums. Yep. It's just refining, honing.
Yeah, and continue developing.
Yeah, very, very much so.
Yeah. I mean, the true teacher of mediumship is not any teacher on the earth plane. It's actually the spirit world. And the teacher with teaching mediumship can only teach from their experience. But the true teacher who has chosen to develop and work with you from the day you're stepping into the earth plane is actually the spirit world.
Yeah. Yep. Self-development and also development of self.
Yeah. It goes hand in hand.
Yeah. Yeah. And my feeling, and I know I've shared this before in recent months, is maybe that's an area we want to revisit within our movement, because there's an awful lot of emphasis on the mechanics of mediumship, how to get a message, how to do this, how to present it, yada, yada, yada. But we're leaving out, what does it mean to you to be a working medium?
It's a calling from the soul, and I never wanted to be a medium. It's just something who has developed and progressed during my time, and something drew my attention and put me on this journey.
Yeah.
And of course it was after a trauma, and you think you always have the answer, and you always think you make the decision for yourself. But if you're looking back to your life, I think someone has been guiding in a way that all the decisions you made that made you believe you make them yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Is this making sense?
It does. And it's raising a question straight away.
Yeah. But saying that, I mean, my journey has been a wonderful journey, and I wouldn't regret anything that I have been going through, because everything, both good thing and less good things, has been developing of myself, and also an experience that I highly appreciate.
Yeah.
Because without all the life experience, both good and less good, I wouldn't be where I am today.
Very true. And as I said, your first statement there, really, when you said about being guided, I mean, I've got to ask the question, is that a third-party guidance, or is that our own soul's guidance to really realize our own potential?
I would say it's our own soul.
Good.
Yeah,
because that's what came into my mind.
Yeah. No, it's our own soul, because our own soul is connecting to the spiritual, the higher self, whatever you want to call it, the God force, what God means to yourself. And from there, all the action is taken. And you think you're making the best decision yourself, but who have already created that decision before you're making it.
Yeah.
Because all the steps you are doing is creating by a thought, and the thought is in your mind. And then when the thought has been there long enough, you actually think it's a good thought.
Yes. But again, going back to the development of the medium, you were there when we took the last night of our development circle here at Poole, before we have a little break. And I was just talking about general things. And I said something, and I thought, I've never thought of it that way. You know, when you're working as an evidential medium, you're exposing your vulnerability. Yep. You are being vulnerable. And I don't mean that as in people taking advantage of you so much, but it does happen. But yeah, you face up. There's a lot of self-examination when you're working as a medium.
Yeah.
Things come through, things are said, things are passed through you. And actually, you think to yourself, oh, God, am I like that? No. Or, does that? Yeah, that's talking about me as well. That's interesting.
Because everything you say from the platform or in a private reading is actually coming from yourself. And the energy you interpret is actually something from your own life experience.
Yeah. But I've often had that when I've been working, either private sit-ins or Deming. Something or some situation to be talked about, and I think, yeah, that's really similar to my journey. Yeah, wow.
And therefore, when we're meeting people, it's very often like-minded people who are on the same vibration as ourselves, where we can connect with and we feel comfortable with them.
Oh yeah, very much. But have you found that as your mediumship overall expanded, your circle of friends has got smaller?
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah. And that's another thing I brought out to the circle and their closing notes was, don't be surprised if you just grow away from people.
Yeah, and also, even though the journey is very lonely, but since I came into my spiritual journey, I have never felt alone.
Exactly. Yeah.
So even if I have a very, very few dear friends, I have several acquaintances, but very few close friends, I never feel I'm alone.
There's an old saying, it's a lone journey, but it need not be lonely.
Yeah. And I'm quite sure many of our viewers who are looking at this recognize a lot of what we are talking about today, because when you go on this journey, the journey is a lonely journey, because it's your uniqueness who guiding you through this, and without your uniqueness, it wouldn't be possible to do your journey.
Yeah, very true. So, quick shout out to everybody. Good evening, everyone who's joined us. Thank you. Lovely Marion, Trish, Anne, Matt. How is it going? I hope the new job's working out well. Darren, did I miss somebody? No, that was me. That's fine. We have a question. As I said, tonight we haven't got a fixed topic. So if you've got any questions about spiritualism, yeah, just pop them in the chat box and we will get to you. Lovely Lee Chu, hello, darling. And Francis, good evening. So, Lorraine, good question. Lorraine's asking, good evening to you both. Have either of you ever doubted your path?
Yes.
Yes.
Several times.
Yes.
And there is several times where you're thinking, no, this is not right for me. I'm going to do something else.
Yes.
And then the next day you're back again, because there's always a pull and there's always a calling within yourself from your soul that you are on the right pathway. And if you start doubting yourself, there is something that building up your comfort again, because we learn as long as we're walking this pathway.
I've had a couple of instances where things haven't gone the way I would have liked them to go. And I know I've come away a couple of times going, that's it, forget it, I'm not working for you lot anymore, don't you dare come. And by the time I get home, I realise actually it was your own before the watershed, your own fault, Lawrence. It was your own nature and personality that created that issue. But also you do get it with, you've got to grow quite a tough shell, haven't you? You've got to retain our sensitivity, but we've also got to have a bit of a tough shell, because sometimes people come in, and this is what I find, again, exposing my vulnerability, because they might all go, what? When you are in that environment, you become really sensitive before you even start working.
Yeah.
And somebody can just say something completely innocuous, completely innocent. And it's like a slap in the face. It's like...
And you take it in the wrong way.
Yeah.
Even if it maybe not have been meant for you, but because your sensitivity and the stage what you're going through, you take it personal.
Yeah.
And then the emotion, the tears, everything.
Yeah. It does. And it's working out, isn't it? We are sensitives. I mean, that's the old-fashioned name for a medium, a sensitive. So we are sensitive. And it does cause challenges, because, as I say, especially when you're getting ready to work, everything, all your nerves go like a piano string. You know, they're tightened and tightened and tightened. So an innocent remark, but then also people say things or write things or post things, and it's one of the big lessons to learn how to respond to those situations rather than react to them. Because let's face it, you know, there's an old saying, and sometimes sadly it's very true, if you want to find an unspiritual person, go to a spiritualist church, because at times we can be very unkind.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And it's how we navigate that around it and not holding on to those hurts. So, yes, Lorraine, doubted your path, yes. We're human beings. We may have 1, 2, 3 dems on the trot where things, for whatever reason, didn't work. And you're thinking, what the hell am I doing? Am I doing the right thing? Am I repeating the same old stuff?
And when you think you're comfortable in the way you're working, the spirit will changing it.
Oh, very much. Very much.
Yeah. That's the joy of mediumship.
Yeah. Yeah. And I believe that's part of our progression, because once we get familiar with a certain aspect of our mediumship, because we're out there for the growth, well, naturally it will change. Because if we don't have the change, we won't have the growth.
True. Exactly.
Yeah. So, Lorraine, yeah, pleasure, my darling. Absolute pleasure. It's, I think, any honest medium will say the same. Darren, it was in 2021, the last time you was on here, Fredrik. You mentioned you would like to have broadened your spiritual experiences. Have you managed to do so?
Yeah, I think, if I understand your question correct, every time you work with the spirit world, you expand and broaden your knowledge. So to your question, I would say yes. But then I don't think it has gone as quick as I want it to be, because I would like to have the knowledge of tomorrow yesterday.
Yeah.
And that's never going to happen. So I still hope. But of course, it's an ongoing journey, and you learn something every day in your mediumship that you can bring into your mediumship. So I'm happy in the journey how it has went. So
yeah. Would it be fair to say, again, I think I've shared this before with people. I was working, this is probably about 4 or 5 years ago. I was working, and halfway through the message, I stopped and said to the sitter, "Have I worked with you before?" And she went, "No." And I thought, well, this is familiar. I feel not like I'm getting this third party. I feel like this is memory rather than anything. So I came home and I sat with the other world and I said, why does my mediumship now all seem very familiar, very formulaic? What comes through, it goes A to B to C to D. What's going on? And they just said, you're not pushing your mediumship. And I thought, ooh,
yep.
Oh, I get that. That was my lesson on the importance of continued self-development. And I find now that I love digging away, and this is what I teach as well.
The best way, as I found, to develop your mediumship is to be nosy.
Yeah.
With every communicator, and also when you're sitting with the spirit world and developing yourself at home, be nosy in everything you receive and all the knowledge and understanding you get from the spirit world. And be nosy, because with one question there will be several other questions, and from the answers you will build up new tools in your toolbox.
Yep. And it is about being nosy. It is about digging. It is about inquisitiveness. Why is such a wonderful word.
Yeah,
why is that?
Why?
Why is that? Why show me that then? What's the story there? Come on, tell me.
Yeah.
It suddenly unfolded a new chapter. So this is my experience in my mediumship, where I started going, you know what, I want more out of this.
Yep.
I want more out of this. And even today, when we demmed at the workshop, people said it was very good, but I still wasn't quite happy with it. I was happy with aspects of it. I'm not going to go on the self-destruct path of which is something a lot of mediums do, isn't it? Absolutely. I didn't do this, I didn't do that.
But instead of seeing what you are doing, and if you are in the presence of the spirit and in the power, you shouldn't remember what you have said. And so therefore you can destroy yourself as much as you want, because you have no idea what you have said. You have no idea how you have touched the recipient.
Yeah. And that is very true. Something we say can feel totally trivial.
Yep.
Can mean the world to somebody. Absolutely.
Yeah, and I think no matter what kind of spiritual work you are doing, as long as you feel that you have done the best you can do in all situations, that's all you can do.
Yeah. And always, I had a practice at work with my department was always the poor relation within the industry, because everything that went wrong was in my department. Everything that went right was not in my department. So I did bring in a thing, and it used to really annoy people. I said, if you come in here and you give me one negative comment, you're going to have to give me a positive comment, or you'll get nothing out of us. And that really drove people mad. But it was a really good balance.
Yeah. I think that's a good thing.
Yeah. And it's the same with us when we're working. All right, maybe, I could have gone deeper in that.
Yeah.
I missed an opportunity there. But that was great. That part was really well put.
Yeah. So the only person who can say how good the reading was or the message from the platform is actually the recipient.
Yeah, very true.
Yeah.
Very true. Again, it is. But it's fascinating being on this journey, isn't it?
Yeah.
And the opportunities that we can. I don't do the law of attraction. I'm really sorry, because I've been trying to attract the lottery win for the last 10 years, and I won £30 last week, and that was it.
Yeah. So what did you do wrong who only attracted £40?
I don't know. If I knew, I wouldn't be sat here now. There'd be what looks like a screensaver behind us, but it would be a tropical beach going, hi. But yeah, it's with our mediumship, if we actively engage and go, looking at it, not critically, but with a critique and going, I would like to improve that.
Yeah.
A thing very relevant about names. We don't see the names. You used to go into spiritualist churches in the 30s and 20s, and it'd be, oh, I've got your Uncle Bob here and Doris and your husband Frank and all this stuff coming through. And I thought, why don't we see that today? And when I asked that at the other world, they said, well, we haven't changed. And I went, no. Okay, it's down to us.
Yeah, very much.
Yeah.
The energy and the development is there from the spiritual. We need to have the willingness to take it on board.
Yeah.
And the dedication to wanting to develop it.
Yeah.
I like the comment from Roy.
Yeah. No sat-nav for the experience called life.
I like that.
Yeah. Yes, it's very true.
Yeah. Experience of life comes from yourself, depending on the journey you choose.
Yeah, and it's again, to me, when we work this close with the other world, nothing is impossible. Nothing is impossible. Only that's limited by our mind,
yep.
fears, limitations. Nothing is impossible. And I think the more we bring that back into our teaching and that inspirational side to people, you've got to put the work in.
Yep.
Because what my feelings are. The saying about spirit will do it for me, and it does not sit well with me.
No, you have to do the work yourself. The spiritual is there to support your work, but you have to do the work yourself.
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah. And that's how it is, and that's how it's going to be. So now it's always a positive journey, no matter what kind of experience you have within this work. It's always a positive feeling.
Definitely. And maintaining that positive. Do you have challenges maintaining that all the time?
I think the life itself is challenging depending on how you see it. Because you can choose to close your eyes and just go forward and do everything in your comfort zone, and you won't learn anything. You would just stay where you are. Or you can open your eyes and embrace the challenges that is in front of you. What you didn't manage to do today, you might be able to do tomorrow, because you have one day or one more time to experience the understanding what you need to do it tomorrow.
Yeah, true.
So the life is full of opportunities depending on how you see them. And everyone who has been through trauma, accidents, and things like that, they more or less only have two choices. The one choice is to give up. The other choice is to do the best you can do of the situation. And then if you choose to do the best of the situation, then it's when all the challenges comes, when all the hard work comes. Yeah. But if you're prepared to do it, I've been there myself. If you're prepared to do it, you get so much out of it. And especially if you've chosen to go on this pathway, there is so much joy and there is so much healing for you within this. And I'm not talking about hands-on healing. I'm talking about healing from the spiritual to yourself, who touching you on all levels where you need to have healing, and you get the help to get on this wonderful journey, guided by the spirit world to places you haven't seen before.
Yeah.
So
Sorry.
whatever you choose to do in life, I would highly recommend to always try to see on the positive side of the coin, no matter of how hard it is, because it's not always easy. But when you're choosing the hardest journey, you will have the biggest support.
Yeah. And seeing those challenges that come into our life as opportunities, and not holding on to the negative. We have things in our life we can't change.
True.
Usually other people's opinions or whatever. Yeah. And just go, okay, that's fine. That's what you think. That's absolutely wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah, just walk away if the situation is not comfortable. Just walk away.
Yeah, very true. So just a quick reminder, everybody out there watching us, thank you for joining us tonight, and those watching in the future, thank you. But if you do have any questions about spiritualism, please just pop them in the chat box there. We will continue just yakking here, which is quite nice.
We will keep the lottery number for ourselves.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Yeah. No, but it's always an honor and joyful moment to come down to Poole Spiritualist Church or Christian Spiritualist Church, because to see a well-working church in these days, in this environment, is absolutely amazing, because so many people are not fortunate to have the opportunity to step into a church like this, where they welcome you with open arms, and you're just a stranger when you're stepping through the door, and when you have stepped in through the door, then you're friends with everyone. That's the feeling you have when you're stepping into the church here.
Thank you. It is, churches, I think, I don't think we have this great opportunity running a church or a centre or whatever involvement you have to create a community. But in creating a community, you're going to have to take on, the light and the darker shades of these things as well. We were talking today about sometimes when you have a little bit of contention going on, or a little bit of friction, and you see it so often, sadly, it's just left.
Yeah.
And we're energetic beings. We're sat in an energetic environment, and that energy sits within that church or centre. And, if you have got the niggles going on, they're going to sit there equally as the healing will, or the philosophy will. Building a community is wonderful.
But looking after it,
exactly.
It's a hard work.
Yeah.
And also allowing everyone who is involved in the church, from the people who boiling the tea water to the one who cleaning the building and the healing and the mediumship, is allow them to feel equally important. Because even if you have a named medium who comes to the church, the rest of the people who makes this opportunity possible for everyone, they are never mentioned, but they are equally important.
Yeah. And that brings it nicely into, thank you, Roy. Very true. Roy's saying, totally agree. Happy environment, happy church. Very true, Roy. The experience. And I think that's been neglected a wee bit in our movement, philosophy, religion, however you want to term spiritualism, entirely up to you, and whichever way you term it is right. It's right for you, so that's right.
Yeah.
And recognizing the experience that you have when you go somewhere. People have seen me when we do the live stream services, and I'm saying to people, this is not Netflix or Disney. Don't just sit there with the arms folded going, entertain me. Be part of it.
Yeah.
And as mediums, I like this theory of, you got the communicator. Can I do it on here? Yeah, communicator there, coming down through to the medium, which is then going across to the sitter. But we should be activating in the sitter that emotion to go back to the spirit. So we start to get that unfoldment, that circle of energy running. Yeah, and again, as I said, the experience of it. Every you know, we've all had it. There's quite a few working mediums out there, and tell me if I'm wrong. Tell me if you disagree. Absolutely fine. I'll just block you.
The cat.
Yeah, the cat agreed.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes you come up against this energy of, oh, thank God that service is over. You know, we've got through another one, and you just think, what's that?
That's wrong intention.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, if you're not happy with the work you are doing or need a break, take a break. The churches will be there when you're coming back from your break.
Yeah.
But if you're not having a positive attitude when you're coming into a church as a worker, then your work won't be as good as it could have been.
Yeah. And that's all levels of everybody associated with the church.
Yeah.
Wow. See, look, cats agreeing down there.
Yeah. So,
Anna Maria, running a church or sanctuary is teamwork. We are nothing without the audience. Yeah?
true.
Yeah. And it's keeping all the balance and harmony of that as well.
And I have to say, I know Anne-Marie, and she has a lovely sanctuary up in Glasgow, and it's well working, well attended, and it's a beautiful and lovely people who runs it.
Brilliant. Brilliant, brilliant. You're on commission.
Pardon?
You're on commission?
Yeah.
Oh, fair enough.
Yeah, she paid me to say it. No, she didn't.
But it is true. And again, that's my favourite word. Apart from opportunity, that is my top favourite word. My next favourite word is balance. Because when we look at a lot of the issues, whether it be on a personal level, our mediumistic level, our sanctuary or our church level, if there is issues there, if you delve down into the what's going on, got a guest, you'll often find it's a lack of balance. Something's out of balance somewhere, you know. And as I say, it's personal development, your spiritual development, your mediumistic development, your church or your centre or your sanctuary that you're running, whatever you're doing. And I mean, we can expand that. We're lucky with this philosophy and understanding about spiritualism. If we look out in the world today, you know, we can see this total lack of balance in things. And it's, I don't know.
It's just gorgeous.
Yes.
It's the bold and the beauty.
Rev Nick Brown, good evening, sir. And he's just commenting there about when we were saying about everybody, you know, enhancing that experience, remembering, you know, we may do it week in, week out, but the people sat there, whether it's their first time, their fifth time, or their 500th time, it's still our job to motivate and get that experience going, that feeling. I like you, Anna Marie. Right, just leave it blank, darling. All right, I'll pick it up for him. Reverend Nick Brown agreed. A church is the people, not a name or a building. Yeah, yeah, really true. Oh, Lorraine. You have some good questions tonight, my darling. Well done. There we go. How do you find your own personal balance?
I think it's it's to listen to yourself and see the need within yourself, because everything starts with yourself. It doesn't matter in what level you are with your mediumship or healing or whatever mediumistic work you are. If you're not in balance with yourself, it's going to reflect the work you are doing. And if you're tired and not feeling well, your work is not going to be good either.
Yeah.
So therefore, everything starts with yourself, and therefore to have the personal development and the self-development and the self-work is so important. When you have the balance between your spiritual work and your physical life, everything will flow so much better.
Yeah. And also, like I just said, looking out at the world in general. Here's something for all you wonderful, sensitive people out there. Have you found the last 6 to 8 weeks particularly difficult? Because I asked that because of several conversations of late. But the last 6 to 8 weeks have been particularly difficult, and a lot of the potential resolutions to it is about bringing stuff back to self. And now this links in lovely with the balance, because we've got to be aware of our own balance, of what we are in control of, because that is our personal responsibility to look after that. But going deeper slightly again, if you are in affected by situations that are root cause out of balance, how we manage that is to maintain our balance and not be overwhelmed.
Totally agree.
Things. So yeah, just interesting. All you wonderful sensitive people out there, have you found recently things have been very tough? This is sort of like general feedback that's come from conversations, and a lot of it does seem to be about bringing stuff back to self at the moment. Looking at yourself, how am I responding to this? How am I reacting to this? How am I letting this impinge on me? How am I? And it is a lot of eye work, and it's a bit uncomfortable actually. I'm not really good at eye work. But yeah. So if anyone's got any thoughts on that, or gone, no, the last 6 or 8 weeks have been great, please share.
But I think everyone notices difference wherever they are, and also what's going on around them. I mean, if I'm taking the train or sitting on the bus, and I hear a lot of people speaking about all this negativity that's happening in the world, and you're sitting beside people, or you have people behind you, they're talking about all the negativity that goes on, and it will affect you to some degree, no matter how much you try to close your ears. Just by hearing what they're saying is creating a less good feeling within yourself, and then you need to break the energy within yourself. So it's not always easy, but you have to do the best you can do. And no way is a wrong way. You have to do it in a way that you feel comfortable to do, and help yourself to get over it.
Yeah, I had that going up on the train to meet you at the airport. There was 2 tables in front of me, 4 one side, 4 the other side. And after about 10 minutes, I just got up and moved to another carriage. I couldn't stand it anymore. It was continual moan. I just thought, really, I don't want to be in this atmosphere. And off I trotted. It was lovely.
So no, the life is difficult, but that's also the beauty of life itself. Because if everything would have been too easy, we would all think something was wrong. Because as a human, we want to complicate everything as much as possible. Otherwise, it's not true.
Yeah, this is true. And also, if everything was too easy, where's the progression in there?
Exactly.
Yeah, non-existent. So,
there we go.
What else can we talk about? Oh, lovely. Reverend Nick. There we go. Thank you, Reverend Nick. Too much worrying about the Joneses and not enough personal growth in this way of life lately. It goes bring the whole down. It does bring the whole down, especially for sensitives. You cannot help getting dragged into it when you notice it unless you get back on your kilter. Yeah.
Very true.
Yeah, it's true. And again, it just seems to be, of late, it's about self, because I know, talking to 5 mediums over the last month or so, where they've all had the same sort of energy. They've all had personal challenges, be it friendships, relationships, whatever, where it's just either like fallen apart, or there's been big issues there, And I know it's knocked a few people off kilter. Love that word. Thank you, Nick.
Yeah. There's a new word for me.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we will reach a point where we feel it's going on too much, and we have to protect ourselves from all the negativity that goes on. And those who are spreading most of the negativity is the social media, is the television programs, news. But on the other hand, we also need to find ourselves to be updated as well. So it's hard. It's a balance.
Yeah.
Again.
What was it? Be in the world, not of the world.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Good old social media has been working overtime. And the thing is, as spiritualists, spiritual people, it tends to be our social media pages are focusing. So we're seeing this sort of like honed in view.
Yeah.
And it's all, and we're all over 21. None of us are daft out there. We've all seen the nonsense that's been going on. And people involved and people not involved putting their tuppenny in. And it's just got to the point of you just think, oh, do I want to be associated with this? And going back to Lorraine's question earlier on, have you ever doubted it? You know, and some of the stuff that's gone on of late, you're just like, do I want to be associated with it? And you have to work through it. Well, this is how I got round it. You work through it and went, I don't know you, you don't know me, and there's 10 billion people on this planet who don't know either of us, and do you know what? They don't care either.
No.
So why are we getting head up over it?
I don't know.
So, lovely Roy. Yes, I've felt this for months, not weeks. Diagnosis for myself. Give myself time to readdress. Yeah.
And I think that's the solution for many of us that we should actually take on board and do ourselves. And what is right for you is right for you, and don't questioning yourself. If you get a feeling for something, just trust your feeling. Yeah,
and bringing it back to the now as well. I've done quite a lot of work with that recently, and do you know what? I have actually found it really liberating, because I am one that people will say something, because I keep stuff to myself. I'm quite a private person. I've got this persona.
Yeah.
I've got my church persona, my medium persona, but Lawrence is quite a quiet person, and people will say things and I'll walk away and I'll hold on to it.
Yeah.
And I'll hold on to it. And this working in the now is just like, well, it's been said, can't go back and change it, so why am I worried about it? It's put me here now. If I keep going back to it, I'm just keeping it alive.
Yeah. So what has been, leave it in the past.
Yeah.
Because it stays there. And it is like what David showed us today. I mean, if you have a circle, half of the circle, 45% of the circle is the past.
Yeah.
45% is the future, and 10% is here and now. And we either live in the past 45% or the future 45%. We can't change it.
Yeah.
Because it's either hasn't happened or we don't know if it's going to happen. Instead, we should live in those 10%, which is here and now, because we can change. We can change here and now.
Yeah. And I did like the way he described that. So credit to David Powell, CSNU, full credit, because I thought the way he put it, I went, yeah, that resonates with me. He said, the past and the future, neither of them are reality.
True.
Because they've happened. Their time has either not come or has gone.
Yeah.
So they are no longer reality. The only reality, you know, is
here and now.
Yeah. And I went, ooh.
That was really good. Yeah.
Yeah.
I liked it.
Yes, so thank you, Mr. Powell. That was absolutely wonderful way of putting that. And it's a very liberating thing, because I'm sure, ask all you wonderful people out there, do you have not a habit, what's the word I'm looking for? Do you, if you're honest with yourself, do you tend to hang on to things in the past and keep it pertinent to the present? Or are you really good at letting go of the past and going, okay, that's fine, let us know? So, hello, Julie, lovely lady.
I think most people are worried for the future, even if we are not there. But the worries is there.
We've got to have a concern for the future, and we've got to have aspirations for the future. But if we tend to live too much I think sometimes we just end up building up disappointment because, all right, we're working together tomorrow night. Yeah. So I would like full house.
Yeah.
I would like all the messages to be absolutely banging. Yeah. I want a name with every message coming through. I want to walk out of there on cloud 9. Now, if that happens, happy days. But if it doesn't happen, I've already started a path to a disappointment.
Yep. So,
yeah.
Again, the balance.
Balance. Yeah. Yes, very good. Leslie Thomas, good evening, my darling. So nice of you to join us. We've got open house tonight again, everybody. You got any questions about spiritualism? Yeah, pop them in the box there, because we've been very busy the last few days, and we've just said today about 5 o'clock what we're going to talk about. And I went, well, I don't know.
I think this is perfect, where people can speak about everything they want to speak about, who is under the umbrella of spiritualism.
Yeah.
So that's a very interesting topic, because you can cover so much, and I'm quite sure much of what we have said today resonating with a lot of people who either starting the journey within the mediumship or already working as a medium or thinking to walking the pathway.
Yeah.
But no matter what, it's a wonderful journey, and it's the best pathway you can walk in your life.
Yeah. And interesting as well, people running churches or centres. There's 3 of us, myself and 2 wonderful people online.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think not having a plan tonight was the plan.
Yeah, absolutely. We have an interesting question from Roy.
Yeah. Oh, so Roy's asking, interested to know how you find balance being Lawrence a human, president and medium.
Me, myself and I.
Yeah, me, myself and Irene, the Holy Trinity. Each role has a duty. Now, being Lawrence, that's interesting, actually. Excuse me. Because I often say it's only times like this, like these virtual times together or the physical times together, we spend an awful lot of time being mother, father, brother, sister, husband, whatever. So there's all these copies of us out in the world. You know me as Lawrence here. The cat knows me as Daddy. The treat giver, the slave. So there's all these multiple copies of us out there. And it's on these rare occasions when we can talk like this and be ourselves. And that I find is very important, because the more we find ourselves, the more we can recognize the roles that we have to step into.
Yeah.
And when I say have, I don't mean that as a chore by any means. But yeah, I'm going to go out tonight and I am going to work as a medium. Yeah. So I will step into that role. But I will step out of that role to come back being Lawrence.
Exactly.
Same with the president. There's things about the running of the church, and new charity status, all these things going on.
Mm-hmm.
It's a role I step into.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And behind the role is Lawrence. And the day when you go to the spirit world, you don't want to be remembered as the medium Lawrence or the president Lawrence. You want to be remembered as Lawrence, the one you are.
Bugger.
Yeah, exactly. The slave.
Yeah, so I think, Roy, the key, well, from this is all being processed in my mind as I'm talking, which is always a bad thing. The key to my balance is knowing Lawrence.
Yeah.
Because it's the same when you're working as a medium. You know yourself, and you know when the other world is stepping in and putting that feeling in. So me knowing Lawrence and getting to know Lawrence even more allows me then to sort of like identify the roles where I need to go. So does that answer it, Roy? So yeah. Keith Morn, you can't make demands on the spirit world. You get what you give. Not sure sitters fully understand this. They seem to think it's so easy. This has put a lot of pressure on working mediums to get results. Not sure if it is always like this. I think this is post-lockdown constructs.
No, it's always like that. It's up to you as a medium to explain for the sitter how you're working and what to expect during a private sitting. If your sitter not accepting what you're saying, then don't do the reading.
Yeah.
And the same, and the same with people who are sitting in the congregation. It's all about training the congregation, because what the chairman says from the platform is actually the rules, and you should only give what you are given from the spiritual, not what the sitter wants you to give. And the one you're working for when you're standing on the platform is not the sitter in the congregation. Is for the spiritual, the church, the organization, if there is an organization behind, and the church.
Yeah,
and not for the recipient to sit in the church, because if you have a very what can I use for it? A less good recipient in the church, they will never be satisfied no matter what you are telling them, and the same with the private sitting.
Yeah.
So therefore, you as a medium, you make up the rules for how you're going to work, and you know yourself what you are capable of. Appreciate your honesty.
Yeah.
No matter what.
I think that probably bounces back to giving what's needed and not catering to the wants.
Yeah.
Because if you're catering to the wants, I always say the spirit world, they never give us anything without reason. Every communication has got a reason to it. I'm a very ardent believer in that. There is no randomness at all in our communications with the other world. But you will get the human side of it that are not realizing the depth or the moral or ethical value of what you're sharing with them. They just want the sensational. They want the sensate. And I always say that if, Fredrik, I've got your father here. His name was Heinrich, and he lived to the age of 87, and he was 6'2", and he had a handlebar. You go away going, wow.
You know my father better than I did.
Oh, there we go then. But you would go away going, wow.
Yeah.
From my point of view, the whole point or purpose of that from the other world is they're giving that to you to try and stir your lust for understanding. But we have it. We have that responsibility to either display that or ignore it.
Yeah.
And if we go down the sensate road, you're going to go back next week and go, right, you described my father last week. What was his national insurance number? And you give it. And they'll go away and they'll come back and they'll go, what town was he born in? And you will just give this endless supply of information, and it's not going anywhere.
And you never please anyone.
Yeah, it just doesn't go anywhere. Lovely Ron. Hello, darling. How are you? Hope you've survived all the storms and hurricanes and God knows what else you've had out there. Alligator attacks. Ron's in Florida, by the way. It's not Paul's call. Ron saying, I used to hold on to a lot of the past, especially from childhood. Only recently have I finally learned true forgiveness, really important. And forgiveness of others, it no longer affects me and I have taken back my power. Really true, because as I say, just to reiterate, where I've been doing this work myself, I woke up one morning and it was like this huge weight had been lifted. It was really liberating. I thought, I like this.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, definitely. Well done, Ron. He's a lovely man, everybody, despite what they say about him. Lorraine, as someone new and exploring, what one book would you recommend I read to learn more? Ooh.
Well, there is plenty. It depends on what you would like to know about.
Yeah. What area are you looking at? Are you looking at evidential, healing, philosophy, metaphysics? There's such a broad scope. I think if you were going down the evidential mediumship route, I would recommend thoroughly to people Air Chief Marshal Dowding Many Mansions. An amazing book because it gives really good accounts of recently past spirit. And it's just that little insight, because we all know what heaven looks like, don't we?
Yep.
Yeah. And it just gives these little insights in a lot of these messages that were transcribed and people that passed in battle, in war conditions, or the ship had sunk or whatever. And it was their experience, and I found that fascinating. I found that absolutely fascinating and very, very educational. What's your go-to book?
I have found a lot of books with silver birch, but I'm also very much into the philosophy of mediumship.
Yeah.
And I like to read the philosophy. And there's a lot of words and a lot of books that I've read that actually touched me. But I'm also interested to read about other medium story, how they come through the difficulties in their journey, how their journey began, and what they have been through to shape and form them to who they become.
Yeah. Got to say hello to the lovely Belinda. Good morning, Belinda. She's lovely.
Okay.
Yeah, she was over here for a while, so we had the pleasure of her attending Paul Church, and she was great. She walked in, just one of these people, she walked in, he just went, I like you. I really like you. You're fun. Okay, Anne-Marie, absolutely agree with Keith. Some sitters have disproportionate expectations. Yeah? And it's difficult. It is difficult to not be dismissive of that. I can be quite dismissive. No, I can hear you all say. But I learn not to be dismissive and try and educate and try and get across that thing about, look at the bigger picture. Look at what all this means. This isn't about talking to dead people. No. This is about learning how to live this life.
Yep, and could be difficult.
Yeah. So, lovely Matt Harris, never forgive him, moved away, how dare you? I found the same. Collective energies have felt so heavy for a long time. Self-care, self-healing, so important to clear what can inevitably be picked up. Yeah, you see Matt there echoing again. It's coming back to self.
Yep.
Yeah.
It starts with oneself.
Yeah. Lovely Leslie Thomas. Saying there's a time for the many hats we wear. Yeah. But the cornerstone of you is Fredrik.
Yep.
The cornerstone of me is Lawrence. The cornerstone of Roy is Roy. The cornerstone of Leslie is Leslie.
Yep.
And if that cornerstone isn't firmly in place and explored, nitty-gritty as well, part of our development, we find things in our persona or our attitude, and you just start to think, ooh, that could do with a bit of smoothing.
And also, the medium is just, like yourself, is just a role you play.
Yeah.
And then the mediumship and the spiritualism and all under the umbrella is just the interest I have.
Yeah. Right, we're going from Sydney to north of the border to the lovely Sheila Dougal. Hello to you too, my darling. Lorraine Hunt, surprise me.
It's about the books.
Oh, right, thank God for that. I was just going to go boom. Yeah, I would go, well, it's generational as well, isn't it?
It is.
It's. I was brought up under the structure of the really old time. You know, I've got a wonderful book here that was transcribed in 1872. There's another one that was transcribed in 1890. And although the language is very much of the time, the actual lessons in there. There's another one you can get on PDF, A Wanderer in the Spirit Lands. And you can get that on PDF. It's a bit chilling. But it was of the time when everything was much more black and white and not softened as in today's.
And it's a heavy book to read. And, and you need to have an understanding to 100% of the English language to get something out from the book.
Yeah. And as I say, it is particularly, it's a bit grim. I'll be honest, it's a bit grim in places. But it was written of that time, of that energy. Yeah. But what it's talking about, what it's describing, I just found fascinating. Absolutely fascinating.
But it's really hard to just recommend one book when there is so many books that is wonderful to read.
Yeah. As I said, I lean towards the older books because I find them quite timeless. Yeah. So, Leslie Thomas. When I serve spirit, I blend with their love, light, and energies with honest intent for them to use me as a channel to bring forward to the recipients what they know is needed for them. Yeah, that's such a big word, needed. I trust spirit 100%, always with the utmost trust and respect. Yeah, wonderful. And it reflects, I've seen your mediumship, Leslie, and it's excellent. It is excellent. You know, you see some mediums that just get up there and I have a thing here and I call it doing the job.
Yep.
So when I'm looking at demonstrators to come down or whatever, I want them to do the job. And the job to me is to be that presence when you're on the platform, to have that confidence. It's backed up with the depth of evidence and the love and the lack of look at me and ego and things. You know, because I want my congregation every week to go out of the church uplifted and usually with some hope or something from the philosophy that's going to make them go, wow, it's not that bad.
Yeah, that's how it should be. Sorry, a positive feeling when you're leaving the church.
Yeah. Lovely Marion. She does wonderful photos, Marion. Yeah. She's always got lovely photos. Self-care, diet. What's diet? Is that a Swedish word?
Yeah, it is.
Okay. Exercise, rest, nature, gratitude. Be aware of what's going on, but choose your battles. Yes. Yeah. Your own peace of mind is paramount. Everything happens for a reason, but knowing we do not walk alone is of great comfort. Very true. Spirit is our peace, our strength, and our comfort. Our balance is our responsibility. How can you deny spirit once you awaken to it? Yeah, that's really true. I love that. Choose your battles.
Yeah.
Don't let them choose you.
No, I mean the relationship with the spiritual is a lifelong relationship.
Yeah.
And you can't find a better partner.
Yeah, that's very true. And as I said, you know, we've all had it. We've come away, and for whatever reason, we just think, that's it. I'm giving this up. This is rubbish and everything. And then things calm down. The heat goes out of the situation, and you realise your part in what went wrong. Back over to Sydney. Very international
tonight we are.
Yes. I've been more alive, rounded and colourful individual since working with the spirit world. I feel joy and calm simultaneously. Yeah, beautiful.
Yep.
Beautiful. And that's the way it should be.
Absolutely. It should always be a joy.
Yeah.
And happiness.
Yeah. Yeah. That is what is more joyful. You know, when my mum or my dad come through, I'm just like, yes. That's great.
Yep. Finally.
Yeah.
It's always a joy.
Yeah. I don't think, why don't they talk about this? You know, just the fact they can come through. I mean, the miracle. You know, we forget that at times. The miracle of what we do as mediums. Someone's died. I took a funeral on yesterday, and it was real honour because with this one family, I've taken Dad's funeral, Mum's funeral, sister's funeral, and yesterday, sadly, it was the brother's funeral. And when I arrived at the burial ground, I got there very early because I have this fear. There's 2 people only that have got to be at the funeral, and I'm one of them. So I have this fear of not getting there. So I got there ridiculously early. And it's one of these woodland burial grounds, very nice, very friendly. And they'd already bought the coffin into the room before anybody arrived. And I was just stood at the doorway talking to one of the undertakers. And just out of the corner of my eye, I saw 4 blue lights. There was one at the top, 2 in the middle, side by side, one at the bottom. And I went, isn't that beautiful?
You will never forget the moment like that.
No. And it was like that. But it was just like, wow. You know, there he is. Mum, dad, sister and brother all back together. How awesome is that? How amazing is that? So, Leslie Thomas, I agree that when some recipients want or expect only certain loved ones or specific information is down to lack of education. Yeah. Although many are in such a low place with grieving, all we can do is educate them to be the best of our abilities. Yeah. Very true.
Very true.
And also, all we can, you know, especially where grief is so paramount and so strong, we have to put all our aspirations of education to one side and just listen.
Yeah, that's the best way.
That's the most powerful tool I've found. It's just listening to people, let them talk about things, you know, let them bring, because as they're talking, this is a self-healing act. You know, when you start to put your feelings and your emotions into words, they become a presence. And a lot of people, when they're doing that, they're like, ooh, you can see in their eyes them starting to work with it.
Yep.
And once we start working with someone, we get movement. And once we get that movement going, that's where we unlock the potential in things.
Yeah, totally agree. You couldn't say it better.
Good enough?
No.
Try them up again. No, I better not. But yeah, it's allowing that. It's allowing that time for that person, without judgment, without, you know, any conditions or anything, and just allowing them to express themselves. But as I say, and we do it outside of that scenario, we have doubts or fears or worries, and when we say it to somebody, we just think, get a grip. What on earth are you worrying about? What's the matter with you?
There are more who have had a beautiful experience.
Was that Julie?
Yep.
Julie Womble of Wimbledon. And she's just saying, just before my dad passed, my sister and me saw beautiful blue lights above his bed. Yeah. And this, I can't even describe the blue. You know what? As I try and recall it, I can't describe the blue, but it was the most beautiful thing, and it was the symmetry of it as well. I was just like,
Well,
wow, that is, yeah, that's absolutely amazing, absolutely beautiful. Anyway,
another wonderful evening.
yes, thank you very much, Fredrik.
Thank you very much, Lawrence, for
It's so
having me
nice to
here.
have the guest here. Look, it's real. Very quickly, Darren, showing people that spirit take notice is paramount to that joy, the only thing they can bring to the individual. Yeah. But the person's got to be ready to receive that, because, as I say, especially grief and grieving, very powerful emotion, very powerful. Our bereavement group here, I always emphasize, it's not recent bereavement, because we can have things years down the line that we're still not processed properly.
Yeah.
But in that group environment, people feel more able to open up.
Mm-hmm. It's always like that when you are surrounded by like-minded people, because they have an understanding.
Yeah, they're not going to say, "Oh, you should be over it by now," and things like that, because we've all been there. But anyway, yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Belinda. We have a lot of love coming from. You're going into spring now over there, aren't you? You're so lucky. We're going into the 6 o'clock at night, and it's dark phase over here, and it's horrible.
But the sun is shining during the day.
Oh, yeah, it was a lovely sunny day, but I just don't like this turning lights on at 6 o'clock at night. It just starts to feel a bit... I should be hibernating. It's with the bear gene I have. Thank you, Fredrik.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Kat.
It's just so gorgeous.
Not at the moment. She's very growly. And thank you, everybody. We look forward to seeing you again soon. Anne-Marie, thank you both so much. It's very interesting. Lawrence, I'm going to have to look at your workshop in Edinburgh. I might just give up my dance class. Oh, please. That would be wonderful to meet you. It will be wonderful to meet you. Oh, lovely. Stephen Mager crept in there online. Bless him. Hello, Stephen. Hope you're well. Anyway, I can keep saying good night all night.
Yeah.
So we're going to say good night. Good night, everybody. It's good night from me, and it's good night